everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to jump in and look at part 3 of the Department 56 Sleepy Halloween tutorial or vignette. So I did some off-camera work. I've got the Durham's Rock Hard Putty laid down and that's cured. I've got some initial black paint on, and what we're going to do today is we're going to go through and paint the rock facade along the sides, some brickwork, and then really just kind of the whole platform. Once we're done with that, that'll leave detailing the riverbed, putting some rocks and getting everything painted there. And then once all that's done, I think we're ready to do some final details. And lastly, we will pour the resin and call this one done. So probably a couple of 3 more tutorials will finish this one out. But without any more delay, let's jump right in and take a look at where we're at right now and what we're going to do today. All right, everybody, I've sort of got the wide angle camera mode on here so you can kind of see. So let's start at the top. And this is the Durham's Rock Hard Water Putty. And you can see that I've obviously not done anything with the waterfall that's going to come out. I will take care of that towards the end. But the riverbed is nice and hard. And so that will hold the resin, and we won't have to worry about that eating through the foam. So that's done. And if you didn't miss much, the rock hard water putty is pretty easy. You basically take 3 or 4 teaspoonfuls, add some water, mix it up to where it looks like a sort of a little thinner than some oatmeal type consistency. Not where it's incredibly runny. And then you just take a paintbrush and paint it onto the surface and let it dry. So it's pretty basic. And if you go back and watch one of my Pennywise tutorials on the sewer scene, you'll see where I actually mix that up and put it on. So I didn't feel like you needed to see that again. It's already a video out there of it. The difference is, though, I did take some of the rock hard water putty and I put it around the base of this. Now I hot glued these down and then put rock hard water putty around it to sort of blend the 2 layers together. I think it'll look a lot better once it's painted, and you'll get to see that today, but at least I like the way it looks a little bit better. So this is the work that I've done so far, and you can kind of see these sides over here. I'm trying to move this tripod out of the way. A couple little, pieces that got on there that easily come off, but all this will be painted today. You can kind of see camera's going all over the place, apologize. You can kind of see there, and then we're going to be painting all of this and all of this up here, and then we're going to really start to coat with some browns and greens and try to get this ready for grass and dirt and rocks and things like that. The paint we're going to be using today is a new brand that I've picked up, and I think I got these at Hobby Lobby. It's the liquid acrylic raw umber. I got all these on sale. The list price is $12.99, but you get a whole big bunch of it. It's a looks like it's a, trying to see how many ounces, 16.9 fluid ounces. So I think they were 50% off, so like $7 for each of these. So I've got the raw umber, the natural or the neutral gray, and then a warm gray over here, some titanium white, and then some acrylic Craft Smart, just basic green paint. And what that's going to do is help to go onto the surface. So when we do put the moss and grass down, whatever shows through will be the green paint, not the white foam. So with that, that's what we're going to tackle today. As far as brushes, I'll bring my brush assortment over so you can kind of see what I've got. I always put my paint down into a paper plate. It's just easier for me. Got a big brush to do most of the big areas here. This will be a light, almost a dry brushing, especially the dark brown will go on quite thick, and then lighter and lighter and lighter. So I've got an assortment of brushes to help me do that. Once all that brown dries, then we're going to start going with some grays, and then eventually some white just for some highlights. And this here and this here are going to look the same. The rock wall will obviously be painted different. We'll have to get some different kinds of paint to do that, and some smaller brushes to make sure it's detailed the right way. So with that, let's get the camera back up on the tripod and let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start by shaking up the paint here. I also have a small cup of water that I can use to kind of thin some of the paint out if it becomes too thick. I like these because they simply just pop open, kind of like that, and then you get a little squirt of paint out. Now I'm not sure exactly. This is really thick paint, and it takes it a while to dry. So I've used this before, and I like it. The coverage is really good, but it does take it a little while to dry. So I'm basically going to coat my brush so it kind of starts to do that. And then we're going to set this aside, and we're just going to kind of raise this up. Actually, we'll start, so you can see this. Let's move this here. All right, and now we're just going to start the brushing process here. We're not going to get all the black covered. We don't want to get all the black covered, but we want to get a fair amount of it covered. Okay, the first coat of the dark brown is on and drying. So we're gonna let that sit there for a minute. It doesn't, you can't really see a big, I mean you can, it certainly looks better. It certainly looks brown. The gray will certainly help to kind of put the texture on there that we're looking for and give it more of that shine. So take a step back and look here, and you can kind of see very, very dark, but it will look really, really good once it's done. So let's let that dry, and we'll come back and put the next coat on. Okay, so this is dry, and so what we're gonna do now is use the gray. So we'll shake that up a little bit, and not a lot of paint this time, so we'll start with that. May have to use a little bit more, but we're gonna start pretty light. We're gonna dry brush quite a bit of this stuff on, or at least I think we are. So just kind of the highlights here. Okay, so we've got the gray on now, and we're gonna let that dry, but you can see the texture now with the black, the brown, the grays all starting to kind of come together to kind of give it that rocky look. We're gonna add some light gray with even more of a dry brush, then a little bit of white, but you can see how that's starting to really come out like rock, at least to me it is. And then we were able to get the stairs painted a little bit. I'm gonna save the stonework for some different paint and some different brushes. So didn't want to just slather it on there yet. But you can see how the rock work is starting to look with the gray all along the edge here. So starting to look pretty good. If we get a look from a little bit back, you can see the whole thing there. So not too bad. Still got a little ways to go. So let's let that dry, and we'll come back and put another coat on. Okay, so I changed my mind on this. This is called warm gray, but it's more of a tan brown, and it's not gonna go on this. When I poured it out, I could see that, and so I don't want it. So I'm taking now the rainy day gray, another dry brush, taking a little bit of paint, getting most of it off as usual, and then just kind of highlighting some of the rocks with the rainy day gray. Okay, so letting that gray dry a little bit more, but I've already poured some of this out. I'm going to pour a little bit more, and then I'm going to use this on the pathway. Okay, so while the roadway or the pathway is drying, I've got some different colors of gray here that I'm going to start painting the rocks with. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of each color and kind of paint back and forth here. Okay, and so I've got a smaller brush that I'm going to use here. We'll put the camera back over here so we can get a better look at that. And then here we go. So we're just going to randomly paint some of these. Okay, while the brickwork is drying, we're going to put the white on, and so just a little bit. This is definitely going to be a dry brush technique. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so while all of this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and start darkening in some of this stuff here with brown and get it ready to kind of mix with the green, and we'll go from there. So just kind of filling in everything now along the sides where the grass and everything's going to go. Just sort of start blending this in. Okay, so the last color we're going to put down is green, and we're just doing this to kind of mask the area where the grass and everything is going to go. It's either going to be brown or green or a combination of, so the white doesn't show through. Obviously, we'll come through and detail a little bit more of this with a finer brush, but you sort of get the idea of what it's starting to look like. And I'm not even going to use a plate for this. I'm just going to come and spread some paint out. And the house is going to be up through here, so it's not really that big of a deal. Okay, so let's take a real quick look at the finished product. It's obviously still wet and drying, but you can see the rock face and how that's turned out versus when we started. You can see obviously where the road is going to go. You've got the wet paint, brown and green, just trying to highlight the areas where the grass is going to go. You can see the rocks there. And over here, this will all be covered with sand and rocks, or sand and grass to give it the final effect, but that way none of the white shows through. That's the way I like to do these. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of what this is going to look like. Next video, we're going to obviously choose between doing the sign and the grass and the final detail. So we shall see. Okay guys, so hopefully that gives you a better look at what the Department 56 Sleepy Halloween vignette is starting to look like. Still got a long ways to go on this. And like I said, I think I may do the sign and kind of get that set up before we start painting the riverbed and putting the details on this. May save that for last because I really need the sign to sit up there and see how that's going to look. And that's going to take some special carving with some of the pink SPS foam, I believe is how I'm going to do that. And I got some special tools and some paint that I'll demonstrate how we're going to make that sign look like wood. So probably the next tutorial will just be the sign. And I'll show you how to do that, or at least we'll go through it together. I've never done that before either. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you have, as always, click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and consider doing that. The channel is growing. I'm very humbled by the support that you guys are showing me. It's great. I want to keep pushing these videos out, and we're almost into July, so we're running out of time to get all the other stuff done. So with that, I will talk to you guys again real soon. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you again real soon.